Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Subscribe to the channel if you are not already, and make sure to drop a like, comment, and ring the bell so you don't miss any future uploads. I've set myself a goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you like my content, make sure to show your support. Today we'll be talking about the Las Vegas truck race, and first of all, I want to say, what is it with this track being bombarded with cold weather every time NASCAR comes into town? Like the rain, I get it, but sleet, snow. I'm mentioning this because 2022 immediately came to my mind when the broadcast mentioned how cold the weather was. But yeah, that's something I've noticed in recent years, especially for the Spring Vegas race. It's unusually cold. Fall Vegas is generally sunny, not a cloud in the sky, but the Spring race is anything but that. I don't know, it's really weird. But anyways, the story entering this race was Corey Day. I believe I've mentioned him in a couple of my previous videos, but I've never really talked in depth about him. Corey Day is a young sprint car driver, only 19 years old, who Kyle Larson has taken under his wing and has spoken very highly of. He signed with Hendrick as a development driver due to set connection with Larson. I believe Jeff Gordon played a part in that as well, which is the reason why he's running part-time in the number 7 Spire truck this season. And from the get-go, he's already making the most out of this opportunity, this just being his first start of the year, and he's already scored his first career pole. Similar to how Raja Karuth did last year, on that exact same paint scheme too, with HenryCars.com sponsoring. And he looked really promising as well. In the opening laps, he stayed in the top 3 for pretty much the entirety of the first stage. He battled against the likes of Justin Haley, Corey HEIM, Tyler Ankrum, and Ty Majeski, the latter of whom actually won the first stage after caution came out for rain and red flagged the race for about 2 hours. But as the race went on, he just started to fade back. He finished 3rd in stage 1, but then down to 10th in stage 2, and then in mid-pack in stage 3 he fell to mid-pack and got a flat tire with less than 30 to go after mixing it up with some other guys, had to pit on the green and finished 27th, so a disappointing end to his race for sure, but the guy showed flashes. He's definitely talented. He's just raw and unpolished. In a way, he kind of reminds me of Larson himself when he was coming up through the ranks. Larson was extremely talented, but due to trying so hard to get the most out of his car, he would sometimes end up hitting the wall or wrecking about as much as he was running up front. Fortunately for Corey Day, he's got a couple of starts coming up later in the season, so he will have the chance to not only learn from this outing, but also improve on his racecraft. Thankfully, the rain delay had no effect on the racing. Even though, like I said, the race was red flagged for about 2 hours. But stage 2 was just about as eventful as the first. Corey HEIM got hit with a speeding penalty, which, by the way, was his first ever speeding penalty, believe it or not, or at least according to the booth. But he restarted tail end of the field, and yet he managed to rally back to 4th, 1 position better than what he finished in stage 1, so a great recovery from him. Another guy who steadily climbed through the field in the first 2 stages, Chandler Smith. He started 17th, moved up to 8th in stage 1, and then up to 2nd in stage 2. He was fighting with Ankrum for the stage win in the closing laps, but the 18 held him off. Tyler Ankrum will get involved in an incident later on in stage 3, however, hitting the wall off of turn 4 pretty hard, trying to avoid the 45 of Honeycutt, who had his hands full trying to save his truck, and he did. I don't know why that was a caution. He clearly saved the truck. And after making a lengthy pit stop for repairs, Ankrum, he managed to salvage a 10th place finish. So great recovery there. Speaking of drivers who looked strong early on but had issues later on, similar to Tyler Ankrum, the other stage winner of the race, Ty Majeski. He won stage 1, but then he had some contact with Corey Day in stage 2, got damage that affected the aero of his truck, fell outside the top 10, but after a couple of pit stops to fix the damage, he made his way back up through the field and finished 4th. And with how aero dependent these trucks were today for some reason, I feel like the draft and clean air played an even bigger role than you usually see on mile and a halves. Maybe it was because of the unusually cold weather, but regardless, maybe that's the reason why we saw a lot of comers and goers in this race. And it also played a part in how fun the race was, especially on the restarts and in the short run, where you saw a lot of like 3 wide, 4 wide action. Every time you side drafted a guy, the guy behind you would just get a huge run off of you. We saw this a couple of times actually on how these guys, 2 guys side drafted and a guy would come up like in the inside or sometimes way outside to just make it like a 3 wide battle, and sometimes somebody else would thread the needle and make it 4 wide, which led to a couple of close calls, but thankfully no wrecks. Only cautions that we had were pretty much single car incidents or rain. So yeah, it was a pretty clean race despite all of that happened, all that craziness under green. And also, like I said, there were a lot of comers and goers. Off the top of my head, drivers that I saw running the top 10 at some point, of course, I already mentioned Majeski, Ankrum, the guys who won the 2 stages. Corey Heim had a bit of a roller coaster of a day for the first half. Then in the second half, he was just up there fighting for the win. Corey Day as well. Like I said, he started from the pole and looked pretty good in stage 1. Stuart Friesen, he ran in the top 10 pretty much the entire race, I believe, because he got top 5 in both stages and finished 6th. Then Caden Honeycutt, who had that really good save. He was running in the top 10 actually before that incident. But Lane Riggs, he had, in my opinion, the save of the race. He was fighting. This happened a bit later on after the Honeycutt save. But he had a wild save of his own. He was fighting for the top 5 with Tanner Gray and Grant Empfinger, I believe. This happened coming off turn 2. He was aggressively side drafting the 15, and his truck literally got freaking sideways up the corner. I thought he was gonna spin out and hit the inside wall hard, or he was gonna overcorrect, and that was gonna cause another accident that was gonna take out either Empfinger or Friesen. But he saved it, just a wild save, and he kept it clean. He even managed to bounce back and finish 5th after that, so great job by Lane Riggs. His teammate, Chandler Smith, also had a good race. Like Friesen, he ran top 10 almost the entire race, and was also fighting for the win with Corey Heim right up there at the start of stage 3. Obviously, he faded back in the end. I believe he finished like 8th. Justin Haley was there at the start. Raja Karuth, last year's winner, he flew under the radar, but to his credit, he kept it in the top 10 for most of the race, and he finished 7th. Which was a much-needed result for him after 2 DNFs to start the season. Matt Crafton, he finished 9th. Ben Rhodes, who played some strategy in Stage 2 to gain track position. So yeah, he also spent some time up front. Grant Empfinger and Tanner Gray, who were, like I said, they were right there with Corey Heim fighting for the win in the closing laps. Empfinger, in the end, actually, he managed to break up the Tricon 1-2 by passing Gray, but he just had nothing for Corey Heim, who had, in my opinion, the best truck tonight with the speed he showed throughout the race and how he was working his way up through the field, not once but twice, because, like I said, he was penalized for speeding in stage 1. And I honestly believe if it wasn't for that penalty, he would have gotten the lead sooner and would have won stage 2, in my opinion. Also, he almost won the race after he got the lead of pit road after stage 2. And the race was red flagged again for another rain shower. That's something I didn't get to mention until now. But we actually had a second red flag for rain that lasted like 20 to 25 minutes. And a lot of people were thinking that the race would be called right then and there. And if that happened and the race was called, I would have been really upset, because that would have meant that Corey Heim's 2 wins of the season so far would have come by way of outside factors playing in his favor. And again, nothing against Heim, but I would much rather see him go out and earn this one. It was just fair after how he reaped the benefits of the Kligerman DQ at Daytona. I could already imagine the outrage that on NASCAR Twitter of Heim just getting a break with the Kligerman win, and then just getting a break with his pit crew winning him the race of pit road, and then the race being called for rain and him being awarded the wins. So I just want to say thanks to Mother Nature for cooperating and letting the race go the distance. And also shout out to Corey Heim. I don't think I found the right moment to say this, mainly because we haven't had any truck races in a couple weeks. But Corey Heim, he finally got his big break. He signed with 2311 as their first ever development driver. I believe the announcement was made shortly after the Atlanta truck race, so I never really had the opportunity to mention it. But yeah, Toyota has finally decided they won't waste Corey Heim in the truck series anymore. So all that's left now is to see where he will land. Will he move up to Xfinity with Sam Hunt Racing? Or will he jump straight to the Cup Series to replace Riley Herbst? And again, no offense to Riley, but I mean, his contract, it's only a 1-year deal. He's clearly the odd man out in this situation. If 2311 decides to move Corey Heim to skip him over to the Cup Series, he's gonna be racing the 35. But yeah, this race had the name Corey written all over it. Whether it was Corey Heim or Corey Day, it doesn't change the fact that the race started in the daytime and ended in HEIM-TIME.